In college, I had a bad experience student teaching. I was assigned to a teacher who was very crass and seldom gave positive feedback. I was never privy to so much negativity. After a particularly bad day, I was walking home from Mount Olive back to Concordia, about a 2-mile trek. It was getting dark, and I was contemplating whether or not teaching was really for me and if it was my calling. With tears in my eyes, I crossed the Highland Bridge near Harley-Davidson and Miller Brewery. I momentarily thought, what if I fling myself off? Things would be better. Almost at once, a little African-American girl was by my side. She was between 8 and 10 years old and was also walking home, so she said. We talked about school and her family, and it took my mind off the rigors of my latest teaching experience. We departed right where I needed to turn off towards school. She said she lived nearby and was fine walking the rest of the way herself. After much reflection on this incident, I truly think God sent her as an angel to keep me from my thoughts and teaching apprehensions. What makes me think this was divine intervention is that this particular area where she showed up is an industrial parkway with no homes, no schools. There's nothing around there. It still sends shivers down my spine, and I thank God for His continuous care and direction in my life. Writing is a major part of my literacy background, and I've always kept a journal or diary throughout grade school, high school, and some of college. To this day, I can look back and see that in 6th grade I had a crush on David, and Grace passed me a note during music class. I've also journaled each day for a full year of my youngest child's life. I can tell you what we did each day of the year 4 years ago. It's fun to reminisce since those days go by so fast. My favorite diary is one I kept of my daily walk to Cedar Creek in 2007. Here I captured the sights, the sounds, and the weather of my morning walk for an entire year. I enjoy looking back and reading what it was like on any given day. For instance, December 11th, 2007, 6:02 a.m. to 6:45 a.m. It was hard to get up, but beautiful outside. Semi-cloudy. I saw hawks sweep over a snowy field. It was about 30 degrees. I've enjoyed reading Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson, but when it comes to naturalists, my most recent obsession is Sigurd Olsen. I read all of his works. He is so inspiring, and I often sit and reread some of his books with my highlighter at the ready. It was he who obtained the no-fly zone over Minnesota's Boundary Waters and Quetico Park in Ontario. He also has a wolf preserve in Ely, Minnesota, which I was able to visit. Mr. Olsen is dear to my heart. I can relate to his many experiences that he wrote about, especially when I take my many canoe trips to Canada. I've gone for over 10 years, helping lead high school youth into the Canadian wilderness. I've logged daily on those trips, adding interesting facts that I gleaned from other sources regarding the wilderness, the lakes we traveled, the rods we portaged, and the fish, or lack thereof, that were caught. It gives me great pleasure to relive the trip when I read these journals, some of which I've illustrated with colored pencil drawings. I've since traveled to Israel, Mexico, Spain, and Morocco, and always with a journal and pen. Reading is my passion. I'm seldom without a book. I read voraciously over the summer, and my literary interests are greatly varied. I usually read both a fiction and nonfiction book simultaneously. I've just started reading People of the Book by Geraldine Brooks, and have Eusebius, The Church History, by Dr. Paul L. Meyer on my nightstand. I'm also in a monthly book club, and have already read next month's book, The Memory Keeper's Daughter, by Kim Edwards. I fondly look back at my college days when Dr. Sohn and Lorna Ehlert were teaching us method courses and showing us how to use audio visuals like overheads and ditto machines. I can still remember that smell. Times have certainly changed. Now I would have no problem implementing new literacies in the classroom, such as using a smartboard, PowerPoint, blogging, etc. I was from the era of strictly using basal readers. My eyes have certainly been opened since taking several graduate reading courses. I am very enthusiastic to get back into the classroom and put into practice all I've been learning. I will use an integrated approach to teaching reading and will encourage students to relate new learning to what they already know. I will also teach phonics, skills, and context. I love interaction with students as opposed to lecture-type teaching. I cannot wait to adopt the show me, help me, let me approach. My room will be a safe, literacy-rich environment with cozy nooks, reading lamps, and comfy spots to read. There will be books, newspapers, and magazines galore at all different reading levels. I will scatter baskets around the room with puzzle books, comics, word games. A word wall will be part of my classroom. On day one, I will assess each student so as to drive my instruction. I will teach strategies and the verbiage that goes with it, and then the skill. I will utilize pair, share, clock buddies, and turn and talks. My class will be buzzing with excitement as the students read alone or with me. Students will journal and use wonder books to explore questions on topics of interest, questions from their reading, and questions for research. I hope to have themes that reach into all subject areas. It is important to have ongoing assessments, so I will frequently have conferences one-on-one to evaluate how each student is doing. Daily, I will have free reading time and a time where I read to the class. I will try to incorporate all I have learned from our text in the course, improvement in the teaching of reading, as well as the texts I've read, strategies that work, and best practices in literacy instruction. My huge binder of materials from the course Language Arts for the Teacher of Reading will come in handy. I will invest in tons of sticky notes and prepare myself and my students to succeed. Being a positive role model will be a top priority, and I will try to reach every child, no matter their level, and make him or her feel successful and a valued person in this world. I will have a balanced approach to teaching literacy, where systematic instruction and interest in reading and writing will play complementary roles. In the past, I would have used the teacher's guide and followed it strictly, but now I feel confident to utilize what I've learned and put my knowledge into practice, making me a more effective teacher.